Okay, well, I'm ready to start the painting. I did a video just before about how I always start off with a tester piece with tester strips and colours here, all the colours that I'm using, and then I test whether or not they lift off, whether they're staining or not. So this is a very rough painting, and I'm about to start. You can see I've drawn up the little boat here. But first of all, once I've mixed them, then I make sure they're the right consistency. Always test on the same paper that I'm using. So I've got down to this buff colour here, and then I've made a nice black. Any combination of blue and brown will give you a black, but you can see I'm using them quite thickly, like single cream, because I want them to be quite bold. I don't want it to be wishy-washy, I want it to be almost very stormy. So I'm happy with that so far. And then a dark brown here. So I'm happy with those so far. And then you've got to take a deep breath and just launch in. Here it goes. Okay. So I probably won't talk much now, I'll just get going. So basically I'm going to wet the whole thing and then just go for it. I'm using a big, I don't know what it is, it's a squirrel brush. It actually is one of David Bellamy's, but I suppose any would do. And yeah, I can't talk now, I need to just concentrate. And then I'll put my cling film on. So that whatever pattern you see with cling film is what you'll get as a finished result. So I'm just trying to make it so that the C's going this way. You sort of just squish it and then get it looking the way you want. Probably not making a lot of sense really because I'm just concentrating. And then I use salt as well, which gives you a nice effect. And I'll show you when I've done it. But you have to put it on at a particular time. I can see it's okay up there. It's when it's just beginning to lose its shine. So you basically do sit and watch paint dry. Something like that. So basically I go in stages. I do my tester. Yeah, I do my tester first. I mix my colours. I do this, I get all my cling film on, or my tin foil, or my rice, or my salt, whatever I think, and then I wait. Okay, so I've done a little bit more. I put a little bit of ink on here, but I actually don't like it, so I've taken a bit off, but I do actually think that will be okay. And then I added a little bit more paint here, and it's still not quite dry yet, but just another layer of cling film there. And then I've started to put my boat in. So what I tend to do is I put my boat in, paint most of it, and then I take a lot of it out and then put lots of spray on it so that you only see a little bit of it. But you can see how all the bits have dried. I'm quite happy with that so far. So I'm going to crack on with this just in a second. And I'm going to put a little bit, for example, I'm going to put a little bit of colour on the body of the boat. It's actually mucky water, so it's got a colour in it anyway, but I'm using like a buff colour just to stop it looking too white. So I'm just going to spend a bit of time concentrating on this area, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've done quite a bit on the boat, but now I need to, it seems a shame, put it on and then take it off. So I started here, just with a stiff brush, you just start to take out part of the image. In this case, you know, the yacht. So it looks like it's actually sitting in the water. I'll put a little bit of a reflection of red in here as well. Yeah, there's quite a bit to do. I'll use a knife to scratch out some of this. I need to put a bit more colour in this water area here. In fact, I can do that now. I need a bit of something in here. So I'll put a little bit of turquoise or something to indicate. There's a bit of water there. I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. Have a break, come back and twiddle. Sometimes it's good to go away. The other thing that's really good is to take a photograph of it when you see it small. Then you can see errors and you can see what you want to do with it. I might put a bit more back in there. I might have taken out too much. But I'm just going to leave it at that for now and see what it looks like tomorrow. So I've done a lot more. Finished this off, taken some out, but I've started to do little bits of white on here. Now gouache, which is a water-soluble paint, is fine, but sometimes it can go a little bit grey. It can sort of sink in and be a bit chalky looking. So I tend to use acrylic ink. But the thing you've got to be careful about, of course, it's permanent. So once it's on, and you can't get it off. But, you know, with that, you can add some little white areas, and it's much brighter. So I don't really need to do an awful lot more, but I'm just sort of demonstrating that. So I've done quite a lot of bit of that here and there. But then even the ink is not completely pure white. So if you want pure white, then you can scratch off. You can scratch off with a craft knife. And once again, it's permanent, because if I painted on top of that now, that would be like blotting paper, and it would sink in because I'm actually damaging the paper. But you can get some really nice little highlights with that. So I've done a bit of that. I have taken out a little bit more. I've also defined some of the waves a little bit more as well. But in a minute, I'm just going to splash it. So I'll get all my gear ready, show you how to do that, and then use a bit of pastel. And then it's pretty much done. So when you're using a toothbrush, you need to make sure that your toothbrush is a little bit damp, not wet. And then I'm using some white gouache here, which I've mixed with a little bit of water. And basically you put your toothbrush into there. And then what you do is you put your thumb on the top, and then you're going to be flicking forward, but then you point it to your picture. So, you know, whether or not you can see that, you point it to the picture, and that will give you a fine spray. Hopefully you can see something there, because I noticed in my last bit, all you saw was mainly my head. So I do apologise for that. my partner says he doesn't hold out a lot of hope for this boat. It's almost like a perfect storm. So that will give you a nice fine spray. So for bigger dots, the bigger the brush, the bigger the dot. So you just put that into your paint. So if you use a smaller brush, you'll get smaller dots. And then using anything, a pencil or the end of a paintbrush, you just tap. And you usually get it all up your arm. If you wear glasses, all of your glasses. If you don't wear glasses, all over your face. But you know, we suffer for our art. Right, finally, just going to use a bit of pastel. And chalk doesn't really work, you need good ones. And these are called Unison colour. And they are, once again, quite pricey, but really good quality. And this gives you a nice bright white, so you can use them just as they are, which gives you like the feeling of spray. You could just use them like that, or you can smudge them in a little bit. I used a few colours, got pale blue, pale green, but the white's the one I use the most. And I don't think I'm going to do a lot more, so I will do the nice bit and take off my masking tape. Yeah, relatively happy with that. Yeah, I think you could carry on forever, but to be honest, I think you need to know when to say enough is enough. And I think enough is enough. So I've got to think of a name now, because I'm perhaps Perfect Storm is not the right title, but I will think of a name and then get it in a frame. So thank you for watching that. I hope you've picked up a few tips, and I'm hoping to do quite a few more videos in the future. So this is Ruth Clayton from Wickerfish Arts. Hope to see you again soon.